Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Influencers Project. I'm your host, Craig Reynolds. With me today is one of the legends of the BMX world, Mr. Kevin Jackson. Kevin, how are you today?
It's all good, man. Another beautiful day.
Excellent. Listen, you have been inducted into the BMX Hall of Fame. You started racing BMX in the heyday, or the early days, I should say, of BMX racing. Finished third at the very first MBL Grand Nationals that was held in Evansville, Indiana, behind Anthony Sewell and I think Scott Clark, maybe. I'm not really sure about who got second. I just know who got first and third. You were around from the beginning. You went from BMX and you transitioned into working for some of the companies. You rode for arguably the most impactful company in the world at one time in Schwinn bicycles, which was huge. Everyone wanted to ride for Schwinn. Everyone wanted a Schwinn. I actually had one. I was stoked to have one. And then from there, you worked for the company, and then you transitioned into being a stuntman. You've had a very full life, my friend, and it's been very fun and cool to follow it. But I want to hear about it from your words, from the beginning of when you started racing, why you started to race. And I don't know many people that have a bigger drive to succeed than you. And I've seen it in everything that you've done, which is really cool. So what's that influence? How did you get there? Especially when BMX, when there wasn't a lot of people that came before you, there wasn't someone that had set the bar so much. You're setting your own bars on a certain degree. So let's start from the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And, I look at life to where life is always fun. Life is always good. And then whatever we make of it, we make of it. So if I go back to the early days, I grew up with cows, chickens, horses, with my parents. And so I thank my parents for everything and for instilling in me that, look, nobody owes you nothing, but get out there and work and try to make something of yourself. And that's as simple as I live. But I like people. That's my thing. I love people. People are, what makes you tick, what makes you feel good. Sometimes they make you feel bad. But overall, I love people. So for me starting out, man, I was in the horses and cows. And then I had a neighbor that rode some bicycles, and we used to go out in the field and down in the canyon, because where I lived was up in the canyon, make little jumps and play around and stuff. But I had no interest in it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I just do this for fun. So my neighbor challenged me to go to a race. It was an indoor track in the San Fernando Valley that had concrete floors, cement jumps. And so I go out there and I placed really high. And so it was kind of like, okay, that's fun, but yeah, I'm good. And it was like, well, no, you gotta do this some more, man. What are you doing? It's like, yeah, all right. So, just hanging out with the guys in the neighborhood. One person that I have to give thanks to is a guy named Bobby Encinas. He worked at a bike shop called Peddlers West. And that's also the owner of the bike shop was Jim Emerson. I was just a kid in the neighborhood, man, that would just, like every other kid, you come, you hang out, you see what's going on. And, hey, I'm getting into this racing, I was into it. And back then we had bikes that, the guys today would probably laugh at us. My first bike it was a girl's frame that I modified, where I cut the top tube out, put a straight tube in. And so I'm totally aging myself here, but you know what? I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but you're short. You probably needed that slope tube.
Oh man, you're like ding, 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 dead on. I needed
I could wait.
So for me, I got started in tearing stuff apart and putting stuff together. That's what I got a thrill out of. And then on top of it, I got to ride. I would never say I was the fastest guy, but I would never say I was the slowest guy either. So I always just tried to position myself. And Bobby Encinas was a big influence, man. My dad worked night shifts. So, my dad was always there. And, but, my mom, worked at a beauty salon. So I had to get my way around. Bobby Encinas would, hey man, meet at the bike shop. I'll take you guys to the races. Sometimes he would give me a ride home. Bobby Encinas was an awesome dude. What he did for the neighborhood, and what he did for people in that community, you know, I always give props to that because he didn't have to do it. You know, he did it because he wanted to. And I learned from him. You know, I learned a lot of things from him. So from doing that, then I got to go to some races. From going to some races, I think my first big out of town race, and I apologize, you guys, if I don't have this in order or exactly what goes on.
That's okay. I can't keep things in order either.
Yeah.
I know when things happen, or I know what happened, but I can't keep it in order. Like I bounce all over when I'm talking about my career.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
That's me. That's me. So I went to this race in Las Vegas, and it was my first kind of big national. And I was like, whoa, man, this is where all the dudes are. You know, this is like where the people come to these nationals. So I remember racing. I wasn't sponsored, you know, just had a jersey. Well, what made that race famous for me as an individual was I made it to the main, and I think it was in the main, or it might have been the semi for the main, but I was just pedaling around a turn and my pedal caught. And dude, I had the gnarliest crash, like flying in the air, the bike, and a guy named Russ Okawa took the photo. And it was kind of like the dude comes running over, hey man, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, I've fallen harder off of horses. Right. But I didn't realize how gnarly the crash was until I saw the photo. And I go, oh yeah, that's pretty rad. And then I got to meet.
For those of you that don't know, Russ Okawa was a legendary photographer and person in the world of BMX for years. Like just such a great guy, and captured some incredible images. And I know he was an influence on yours, you know, later in your career as well. But just a wonderful man. Oh my God, Russ is a father to me. You know, he was my second dad. We had a relationship. Not only racing, but we had a relationship away from racing. And I'm going to jump ahead and we'll come back. But we also had a relationship when I got involved in the industry. So that just to solidify what Russ Okawa meant to me. But so going back to that race, do you have that photo, by the way? Do you have that photo? You know what? I think I do somewhere. I'm going to need it because we're going to need to put it on here. I think I might. So if I do, you know, I'm going to forward it to you. Please do. So, you know, that kind of, you know, a lot of people talked about that crash, but it's all good. You know, I'm like, well, I can only go up from here. Right. So we did that. And then I remember coming back and racing at Yarnell, which is one of our really good downhill tracks. The Teen Center, which was a track. So back then it would have been the NBA, National Bicycle Association's Ernie Alexander. Was running that organization. So that was a lot of my local racetracks and stuff. And then to skip forward, next thing you know, I get an opportunity to be sponsored by Schwinn. Go figure it out, man. But wow. You went from racing locals to riding for Schwinn. There wasn't anything in between. There is nothing. I mean, I finished up a season, you know, not sponsored. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know, hey man, yeah, talk to your parents, or yeah, okay, and what's this all? Dude, I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, because I didn't know what it meant, you know, at the time. Jumping ahead, and I'll come back. It was such an important time in my life, and being an important time in my life. Number one, being sponsored by one of the major bicycle companies at that time, never thought I was good enough. Being, you know, I was involved in a sport where there wasn't really a lot of African Americans at that time, but I never looked at life that way. But being an African American and being on one of the biggest teams out there, I mean, how can you not feel proud, humbled, and I have a responsibility? You know, and that's what my parents instilled in me, you know, well, now you got a responsibility in life. So, and that's how I approached it, you know. So I had awesome team members, Ted Gelmet, the Root Brothers, Donnie Atherton. I mean, a crazy team. Dude, Mike Polson, team. I mean, that was the program. Mark Driscoll. Yes. Mike Polson. I mean, dude, we had a team that was just, when we showed up, it was like,
and no disrespect to any other team, please. There's a lot of good teams out there, but we had a team that was like, wow, man, okay, these guys are the real deal, you know. And there was other teams. Don't get me wrong. There was Redline. I have the utmost respect for Stu Thompson as a racer and as a human. And you know, you look at him, you look at some of the other guys out there, whether it's the Greg Hills out there, the Patterson brothers, you know, a force to be reckoned with. So I respect that we all had respect for each other, but we also all wanted to win. So I get it. You know, you can have respect, but I can still go out there and battle with you.
Right.
And that's what I enjoyed about racing, but that's what I enjoyed about wearing a jersey that I had an obligation not only on the track, but off the track.
Mm-hmm. When you were on Schwinn, you were also privy to one of the greatest bikes ever in the Schwinn Sting, right? Like,
yes,
to me,
right.
that was the bar. Like, that bike, that frame it was special. It was made by a company that got it in a factory that manufactured the cream of the crop, the top of the line chromoly bikes, whether it's a road bike or that Schwinn Sting. And you have one that is a very low number in the serial numbers.
That's correct.
Where is that bike and what is that number, Kevin?
I want to say it's number 5. And
people are crying right now. I'm just letting you know. Anyone's watching, like, what?
Yeah, dude. I was just very fortunate. Again, Russ Okawa, and you know, we all got our bikes. And then when you're on a factory team, you do have a very, very golden opportunity to get good stuff. So when we got them, everybody got them. And then, you know, it's like, okay, well, I'll ride this, but we'll take this one apart and we'll get another one. But also, too, I want to give respect and props to, we were so fortunate at Schwinn because not only did we have Schwinn bicycles, we had Paramount bicycles, you know, I think which now is called Waterford bicycles.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
I hope I get this right. I think it's Mark Moeller. Without his experience, and also a guy named Dave Carnavogue, without his experience, putting all of us under the same umbrella and having the luxury of using top line bike builders, that program would have never come to be. So I just want to make sure I give respect to everybody. If I forget some people, I apologize, but all of this is a team effort.
Right.
And I
did an interview with a guy named Rick Moliterno, owner of Standard Bicycles. Waterford was making the Standard bikes. He's mentioned those very same gentlemen that worked with him to do the Standard bikes, which another bike brand that is through the roof amazing and good. So it's funny how it all comes
too. I forgot
Richard Schwinn.
Yeah.
That guy. Holy moly, man! Meeting that guy for the first time, I was like, what? Couldn't believe it.
Very, very.
So how long did you race for Schwinn? How long did you race pro before you decided to hang it up? And what was the reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was with Schwinn for, I want to say 5 years. And from Schwinn, then I rode for Mongoose, you know, as part of, Mongoose had a couple of teams, you know, they had the A team, guys like Kenny Knockman, Jeff Kosmala. So I was fortunate enough to get help by one of my good friends, Mr. Skip Hess, who was the owner of Mongoose, and his son, who I had the opportunity to work for later on in my career, Skip Hess Jr., two very well-rounded, very talented individuals.
Was that the time that did you turn pro when you were on Schwinn or when you went to Mongoose?
Oh no, when I was on Schwinn.
Got it.
Yeah.
You had a very short amateur career.
I didn't stay amateur long. That's correct. And again, very fortunate.
So let's go back to real quick to the horses part. You grew up around horses. Were you barrel racing or something? Is that what you told me before?
Oh man. Well, first off, I had a little Pinto paint horse. So me and my sister used to barrel race. So my dad was in the roping. So then I got involved in roping with my dad. One of my dad's best friends was a guy named John Sherrod, who's a very well-known uh, cowboy and who was also a big influence in Hollywood too, as well. Was a good stunt guy. I wasn't even interested in stunts then, so I couldn't tell you, but I know he was a well-respected stuntman. So I grew up with horses, and so I used to go out with my dad all the time. And from horses, and I got involved in bikes. I think my dad was a little, I won't say upset, but it was kind of saddened, like, oh, my son's going towards bicycles versus horses. But you know what? I think it rocked him for about 4 or 5 months, and then I had his full support. And so I understand. And my dad was my best friend.
Nice. So then when you went from racing bikes to working in the bike industry, was that a natural move for you? Was there a time when you thought, maybe I don't want to stick with the bike industry, but you were very successful on that side as well. How did that work out?
Well, I think the way it worked out is the family that I was able to be groomed by at Schwinn. Again, that's why I say I'm very fortunate. And Schwinn offered me a scholarship to go to college, and then also a position to work in the corporation. So I think I was very fortunate. That was something, because I've always liked bicycles, but I was always into designing bicycles. I like the aspect of putting things together, or trying to put together a package that society might like. Because if I'm doing my homework and doing my meetings or doing my travels and visiting different dealers, hopefully I can give them something that, hey, their voice was heard. And if their voice was heard and I was able to bring it to the forefront, then I did my job. So that got started with Schwinn and Brad Hughes. So Brad Hughes offered me a job working with him. So I was an assistant product manager. So I started off with the kids' bikes, which I enjoyed fully. I was so fortunate to work with the kids' bikes in the 90s. And we were able to take a Schwinn line of kids' bikes and kind of take it to the next level. So to be a part of a group of people to make that dream come true, I was excited. And so I like bikes. I like designing bikes. I love the angles and putting things together on the bikes, relating to the geometry, like I know you relate to. And then also just, getting stuff, testing it, see where it could be better. And then I was able to graduate to mountain bikes. So then I got to work with mountain bikes. And then from Schwinn, I was offered a position over at Diamondback Bicycles. So then, well, hold on. I'm skipping a beat here. I worked for Mongoose as a product designer, and that's where I worked closely with Skip Hess Jr., where I learned so much. And I learned from him, as well as Brad Hughes and Dave Carnebogue, how the process works overseas. So I spent a lot of time over in Taiwan, in Japan, and China, mainland China, Budapest, Hungary, when Schwinn was putting a plant in there for the first time. I was part of that. And so I was able to see the world from a different perspective. And what I mean by that is everybody has different work molecules inside of them. And then people have different work ethics, different abilities, and different expectations. So I'm glad I was able to see that on a global basis. And it just helped me be who I am. And also to, when it's time to work, it's time to work, and it's time to deliver. So that's what's expected of you. And that's how my life has been. So I'm glad I was able to race, which helped me understand the product. Then I'm glad I was able to put it together. That helped me understand how to design a product. And then I was glad that I was able to meet and enjoy the company of so many different people.
Well, and today you're still kind of doing the same thing, working in the movie industry. So You went from, was it from Schwinn into the movies, or was it from Diamondback into being a stuntman? Because I remember when
Yeah.
I first met you, I always knew who you were.
Gosh.
I really finally got a chance to meet you in 1989 on the golf course. It was me, my dad, Jason Kick, and his dad, and we were playing at the local municipal course. And from then on, you became family. Like we've been family since that day.
Nothing but family, dude. From you, your mom, your dad, your sister, being able to watch me grow up on the road like we all did.
Right.
And then when I moved to Chicago, I think I would take the train every weekend to go, you know, I might
Every
be
Sunday.
short, I can hoop. Maybe not as good as Craig.
You're fast. I'm gonna give you that.
I was small, but I could hoop. But as long as I had you on my team.
Hey, listen, just throw the ball up, man. I'm gonna go get it.
That's all I did.
So you gotta do.
Those were fun, man. Those were fun days. They were fun because not only did we have a relationship on the track, but we also formed a relationship off the track. And that's what I mean by good people. And and that helped mold me as well, you know. So I do very much enjoy the relationship that we've always had, and I enjoy the fact that we're still friends. So I love that too. We're both family guys, and you know our lives have evolved. Me and you know, so
that's right. That's it, exactly.
Know. Yeah. So what happened was it was Diamondback, and then from Diamondback I was over at Schwinn, and I hope I have this in the right order. From a part-time job at Schwinn to chasing my Hollywood, I have no idea. I didn't know anything about Hollywood.
That's what I want to know. That's how, because I remember you saying, I'm moving back to LA because I'm going to go be a stuntman. And I was like, what? Like, it came out of nowhere. And I was like, who am I going to play basketball with on Sundays? Like,
that's it. Yeah.
That ain't right. So then you went back. And then, obviously, you've had a wildly successful career doing what you do. So continue on. Like, what was it? What was the influence that got you to go, you know what, I need to go be a stuntman? And
I did some work with Schwinn and some print ads and stuff like that. So that kind of got it started. And then I was invited to do a commercial. So I did the commercial. And, you know, then it was just kind of like I met some guys, you know, saying, hey, man, you should do stunt stuff. And, you know, what is stunt stuff? I don't even know what it is. You know, oh, yeah, you do this, you do that. And, you know, back then I was in the bike riding. I was in the rollerblading. I was into outdoor activities. And, you know, I was doing rock climbing. And so I was just always an outdoor person to begin with. So when I came back to LA, I just started meeting some people. And I think the initial introduction was there was a lot of freestyle guys. And the freestyle guys were doing a lot of commercials. And so that's kind of how I got drifted over that way. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I want to do this. And then there's some Hollywood people. A guy named, there's so many, you know? And it's like, hey, you should do this. You should do this. And then I go, well, I want to learn a little bit about this. I want to learn. I didn't want to be that one guy. I want to know what this does. I want to know what this does. I want to know what this does. Right. So I was able to get in. I got in through commercials. I started doing commercials, and the career is very successful in the commercial market. And then from commercials, I got into like doubling different actors. So I was fortunate enough to just meet the right people who introduced me to the right people. So then I was doubling guys like, and what I mean by doubling, so whenever the actor had an action sequence or a running sequence, whatever, they would put me in. So, you know, guys from like, man, I wish I could remember, but like Guy Torrey is probably one of the first actors I doubled. I also did Eddie Griffin, you know, who was a comedian. I got to double him. Don Cheadle, which everybody knows. I got to double Don Cheadle. And, you know, it was just one of those things, man, right place, right time. And Hollywood kind of woke me up to where, you know what, it's okay to be short. Because I was always mad that, man, I wish I was tall. Because, you know, my dad was like 6'2", 6'3", and my mom's like 5'1". And I'm like, what the heck, man, I got ripped off. But then when I got to Hollywood, it's like, oh my God, dude, you can double kids, you're short. So I just started doing all these Disney shows and TV shows doubling kids. So then I was just like, wow, man, this is crazy. And so I just want to go out and train. And then my wife, Lisa, her brother owns a dojo in California called the House of Champions. So I remember I would go over there and train a little bit because I just wanted to know a little bit about everything is what I wanted to do. I wanted, you got to focus and do this. Okay, well, that's what you do, but I want to do this, So I learned a little bit about everything. And then when it got down to it, what I enjoy is the thing called, it's called riggings. And so stunt rigging, where we go in and actually rehearse the gags, put the gags together, do all the rigging for all the gags. And that grew from basically hitting an air ram, getting snatched from a ratchet to now being hooked up to high-speed winches, flying people 60, 100 feet, and, it's like, wow, this is cool. This is what I like. Because that's what I got out of bicycles. Once I went into bicycles and I became part of the design group, that's what motivates me. So Hollywood happened the same way, where I'm like, I want to be a stuntman. Okay, so I went to go be a stuntman. Okay, well, you got to coordinate. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I went out and like, well, how do you coordinate? So then I coordinated a couple of shows. Okay, well, now, second unit director. Well, how do you do that? Okay, well, I went out and got my DGA card. Okay, so I got that. And then all of a sudden it's just like, well, I want to be who I want to be. And what I want to be is I like to rig. So that's where my heart is, and that's what I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy the environment of the family. Plus, I can relate to a lot of people that do that just based on their backgrounds. Like the person that I've worked with the most in my career is a gentleman named Sean Couts, who comes from high power lines and who is just a phenomenal engineer. The way his brain works, the way he can associate and put things together. It was fascinating, And so that's what drew me to that. Plus, there's just a lot of good, hardworking people on that side of the fence. And I enjoy it. Now, do I go back if I'm not doing anything and if I coordinate something? Yeah, I do. But what I enjoy is the fact that we're able to go in, bring the director's vision to life, be a part of that creative concept, and then deliver it. And then also, too, if there has to be changes on the fly at the last minute, we're part of that, change it to this, and let's see how that works. So I love the creativity. My career, I never would have thought it's gotten to where it's gotten to. We can go back to BMX. BMX was fun. It was exciting. And then, like you said, the Hall of Fame, never expected it. And wow, okay, I'm honored, but I'm more honored because I like people. And to be able to move some people, but also do my part, that's rewarding, And I kind of like fly under the radar. I don't like crowds. I don't like attention. Never have. And the same with Hollywood. To be a part of something, I don't have to be the guy. I don't feel comfortable. Can I do it? Yeah, I can do it. But I'm at where I feel at home. And I'm glad.
You've done some really cool stuff, though. I mean, you've worked on some very high profile movies as well. So not only are you behind the scenes, but you've actually been a part of some of the scenes as well. Well, give me a little rundown of some of the movies you've worked on, Kevin.
Oof. Let's see. I been a part of the Fast and Furious franchise. So I've been able to drive the cars in that. I've been a part of the Marvel franchise from Iron Man 1 and 2 and Iron Man 3, the first Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Spider-Man 1 and 2. I've had a very, very fortunate career.
Yeah, slightly. I've worked on some small stuff and done a couple. I drove a car in the Fast and the Furious, one of the most incredible car franchises ever. You know,
I feel very fortunate.
It's been fun to watch, especially when you call me and tell me what you guys are working on or what you're doing. It's always really, really neat to hear that. You are well into your career as far as rigging and working in the movie industry. What's next? What do you want to do?
Man, I
Other
don't.
than retire, other than because you can't retire. You're too but you like to be too busy. You like to do too much to not do stuff.
Oh, I can't sit
Something.
still. I agree. I finally agree. I admit it on camera to you. You're right, because we've had this conversation.
Thank you very much. Exactly.
You're right again, Craig.
You know.
There's a lot of things. I mean, the sky's the limit, and I think that's what I love about life. The sky's the limit. Whether you continue doing stunts, whether you produce projects, whether you do consulting on projects, I think I'll always be around that because I love the ability to put stuff together or to be a part of a team that is able to create. So that aspect, I think, will never leave me. Retirement, I think I'm still going to be working.
You retired.
I cannot sit still. Homes, me, I'm always remodeling a home. If I'm not working, I love that stuff. And I love a challenge. So
this is true. And you love a check coming in. I know you, Kevin. You like when those things show up at the house. So it's if you stop working, those checks are going to stop coming as well.
Yeah.
So I know you. But listen, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. It has been an absolute pleasure to watch that career go to where it is now. And I know we joke about you retiring, and I really don't think you can possibly do it. So it'd be fun to continue to watch that grow. And you've given me some information today that I didn't know about your early BMX career, which has been really, really cool. If there's one thing that you could have done in your BMX career that you didn't get a chance to do, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. If the one in my BMX career?
Yes. And we'll do movie career.
Yeah, man. I don't know, Craig. Every time I make a step in life, I'm content.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, to be in the Hall of Fame of BMX, totally awesome. Yeah. To have a World Stunt Awards trophy, I'm happy. I was able to accomplish that. To have Screen Actors Guild Award. Yeah, dude, I'm happy. So I don't, I just like.
People would kill for a SAG award. People would absolutely kill for a SAG. Kevin's like, it's something. What's it called? It's a trophy.
Well, I take that back. Wait, I take that back. So for the SAG award, I've been nominated 3 times. So I didn't win.
Okay, gotcha. But still, people would love to be nominated, right?
Yeah.
Which is super, super cool. And I think what makes it so special is that you're so humble about the things that you've accomplished. And to me, that's why you're so successful, because you're doing it for the right reasons, not because of anything else other than this is what I love and this is what I do. And the accolades that come with it, great.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But again, going back to our relationship for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I feel fortunate, and I take that aspect of what we have and every boundary that I've crossed over. I'm glad I'm able to be the same person. And that means more to me than anything.
Mm-hmm.
What I do, I enjoy, but also at the same time, I feel very, very fortunate that I do get to enjoy what I do. We've all, in life, we have challenges, we have accomplishments, but we also go through change. And this is probably 2020 is probably the biggest year of change for all of us. But if we can sit here and feel good about ourselves as a human being, that's a step in the right direction. And so I'm proud to know you, your family, and be associated with the same values in life.
Well, you've definitely been the same person since I've known you, which is massive, right? What's the next thing you're working on, Kevin, before I let you go?
I'm getting ready to go do a movie for Warner Brothers. What is it? Black Adam. So that's going to be a DC comic character. that's going to be played by Dwayne Johnson. And so we're going to go and work with a great group of guys and just try to go out and have fun, and be safe and put together some good stuff for the next round of movies for the big screen.
Next, well, hopefully we'll get to see them on the big screen as soon as they're out.
Yes.
It's one thing that I definitely miss is going to the movies.
Oh man,
going back.
We went from regular movie theaters to recliner seats and having food brought in, and all of a sudden it stopped. That's messing me up, man.
Like that. I know. I need to get back to that joint.
I need to get back to that. Yeah, exactly.
It's one of my things, man. I love it. That's one of my outlets. Like, I need to get away. I'm going to the movies.
That's right. That's right. So, and make you feel just like at home in that recliner.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking that. Exactly. I'm going to watch 2 movies today.
It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah,
such a pleasure.
The pleasure's been mine. And I appreciate the friendship and all of your support over the years. And I appreciate your time today. People are going to be blown away when they get a chance to see this. So,
well, I hope I covered as much as I could. And I hope I got the order right.
Right. Well, even if you didn't, you gave us enough information that gives us a little background on the unicorn that is Kevin Jackson, because you're never around. You're like Bigfoot. Like, Kevin Jackson was here? What? Kevin Jackson's on Facebook? No, he's not on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
I've tried. He's not.
Well, hey, you know what? Anytime for you, and love to do it again with you. I appreciate all that you're doing too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you guys like what you're seeing right here on the Real Influencers Project, please make sure you subscribe. And if you want to listen to it, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe there. I stumble with subscribe every time I do this. It's crazy. So Kevin, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and you guys stay safe out there as well. And we'll see you next time.
I love it, man. Hey, be good.